higher guitar on its own. And both together complement each other. They're basically the same chords, just in different voicings. Add drums, and the bass was on channel 9. So I could type in here guitar, maybe guitar high. I've got two guitar tracks playing at the same time. Obviously, if I wanted the guitar 2 to play as well, I'd need to give it a different audio track, which is exactly what I'll do. I'll look for a different channel pair. 7 and 8 are still free. Personally, I don't think that this part really fits in with the music of the other two parts. So I probably wouldn't use it for the whole song. It's not too bad though. So what I'd probably do is I'd take this part and move it. And then I've got some ideas for the next part of the song, so I take the drum parts and maybe all of the bass parts and copy those parts across. It's a little weak, but it might work as another part for the song. This is how I personally build up songs. I start with one part, and then I add instruments to it. Like I started with the guitar part, add the drums and the bass, and then while I'm working on these parts here, I might come up with a different idea, a slightly different idea, like this one here, which sort of fits but not quite. And then I take the second idea, the new idea, as the basis for another part. So in this case, I'd probably try to find a different bass line, which will go better with the second guitar part, and then I might change the drums ever so slightly to accommodate the new bass part, basically. The main things I'd like you to realize is that you can use the same channel for multiple tracks here, although of course only one track can use that channel at any one time. And you can also change the channels as and whenever you please to a different channel. You'd put the bass part here to channel 10 and to channel 12. Whenever you like, whenever in the song, it really doesn't matter. You don't need to think that once you've got the channel set up, they have to stay like this for the rest of the song life or forever or so. And this has got advantages. For example, if we think of the drums on their own, I'll solo the drums, play the drums, and go into the EQ section, which we haven't talked about yet, and just mess around with the EQ a bit. Like this, for example. It's not professional, it's distorting here big time, but we'll leave that for now. And then we'll play the drums on a different channel. Let's say we go for channels 13 and 14, which means the drums are here now. Completely empty channel. We go for the EQ section again, and do a slightly different EQ. And then while the song's playing, I'll undo the soloing. Now you've got options. Now you can check whether you prefer the EQ settings of channels 13 and 14 for the drums, or whether you actually prefer the ones for channels 1 and 2. The drums are back again, channels 1 and 2. And if I change this one to 13, 14, the drums are not playing here anymore. Obviously they're playing on channels 13 and 14 there. So this is very, very versatile when you come to mixing a few parts and you're not quite sure where the parts are going to go. Also, you could have, for example, this guitar part here and playing on channels 5 and 6 first. Yeah, let me set this one up and then I'll show you. So let's say I'll copy the guitar 3 track over here. I've pressed Alt, got hold of the track and just copied the track down. And I'll make this one play on a different channel set. Let's say I'll go for channels 13 and 14. I know the drums are there, so I'll put the drums back to channels 1 and 2. And for channels 13 and 14, I want the guitar to sound quite thin. I'll solo this one now, play it as it is. Go into the channel settings and change the EQ to, let's say I go for an alternate radio sound. I'll go for the telephone sounder. You've got a few presets, we'll talk about the EQ later on. Seems okay, I'll take the level down a bit. Okay, like that for now. And I'll choose the beginning part of the arrangement. So delete this bit here, and the whole track, I'll make everything else go backwards. I press Control on the arrow key for all those parts to move backwards, and undo the soloing. And now we've got the guitar on its own. Now we've got the guitar on its own at first. For 8 bars, which might be a bit too boring, but whatever. And you could add a few more things, like more atmospheric things. Now the track kicks in. This is a great way of using multiple channels for the same ideas, just setting the channels up in different ways. If we go back to this link there, if I loop those 2 channels and I solo those guitar ideas, I'll solo that track and I'll play this one as well. This is the guitar with the radio EQ. And this is the old recording. You can hear the difference in sound. By the way, this was the telephone EQ. And if that's not strong enough, you could just go in here and make it even stronger. Now this is a lot stronger. We've briefly talked about the EQ and the channel mixer. Let's have a look at the bus routing and then we'll take it into the VST master mixer. So I'll bring up the channel mixer again, and let's have a look at the channel mixer. We've got from 1 to 16 audio tracks on my current setup. If you wanted to increase the number of tracks available, then you just need to go into options, go for your audio setup system, and you've got audio performance here. Number 1 is the number of channels. You can just type in a number there if you wanted to, like for example 88 if you want 88 audio channels, and then click apply. There are 2 other settings here which deal with how Cubase organizes the memory, and in this case it means that Cubase sets aside 192 kilobytes of your RAM for each channel. So if you've got 88 channels, you have to multiply that by 192 kilobytes to find out how much RAM is taken up in total. I'll do this one for a slightly normal setting. Let's do 16 channels again. 16 times 192 kilobytes is 3072 kilobytes, which is about 3 megabytes for the 16 channels which are used in the RAM, or which are sort of pre-assigned. And this is the disk block buffer size, which you can increase or decrease. I've got it on the lowest for the time being. It seems to work fine on my system. If you've got problems with your audio system in that it stutters, or that it's not as smooth when it plays back and things like that, then you can just increase these numbers and increase those numbers as well, and you might even have to decrease the number of channels that you can use. Whenever you do change the numbers here, you need to click on apply before the settings take effect. So what I'll do is I'll go for 20 channels, click on apply, press OK, and now I've got 4 more channels here available on my channel mixer. But the main thing is that after those channels we've got a section with group faders. Cubase gives you 8 different groups, and with those groups you can basically group your musical or your channels that you've got here into groups, which is what I'll do for the guitar, because we've got 3 guitar tracks. We've got the high guitar. I click on master here and choose a group. Let's say I choose group 1. This stereo guitar pair, I put that one onto group 1, and then we've also got channels 13 and 14, which are used for the guitar. And if I play the song again, you can see there's the guitar coming up as well. And if I decrease the volume here, all guitars have gone down in volume, since all guitars are in the group. Back up again. Obviously you can type a name here as well, so you can call this the guitar group. And then if you want to assign any of these channels to the guitar group, you just click on master, and instead of it saying group 1, it says guitar group. But apart from that, you can also send your signal to different outputs. The default is that all those channels go into the master output channel, and the master output channel is this whole green area here. And this is like your first or your initial output on the sound card. I use outputs 1 and 2 on the Delta 66, but I could use outputs 3 and 4 and the SPDIF output. Let's do that and see what happens. Nothing really happens. Okay, you can still hear all the different tracks. The reason for this is to do with how I set up my monitoring tracks. But what I'm trying to say is, you can open up the VST master mixer in panels, and this is what the master mixer looks like. See that the master attachment on the channel mixer only shows the green bit, whereas the master mixer shows the green bit and another bus and another bus. I could set, for example, the main output to analog 1, 2. I could set output 2 to 3, 4, and then the third output will automatically be selected for the SPDIF output. This is what Cubase does automatically. So if I change this one to SPDIF, see now this one becomes analog 1, 2, and this one is the SPDIF output. I'll change this one back to analog 1, 2, analog 3, 4 and SPDIF. I can switch these buses on, and I can also give them names up here. I could call this one out 3, 4, and I could call this one out SPDIF. Now when I go into my channel mixer and I assign an output for a track, let's say my bass track, which was number 9, I've now got the choice between using output 3, 4 and the output SPDIF.